Somebody's going to be mad at me there. There we go. Well, hey, thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. Today, the municipality will be mailing out the green cards with property owners' new tax assessed values. This card is simply a message to property owners from the city to let them know how much the city thinks their property is worth. Over the last 4 years, property values have continued to increase. So, for all of you who have purchased a house or who purchased a house prior to 2020, this is good news for you. In 2022, residential tax assessed values in the municipality increased by 8.8%. And in 2023, those values increased another 2.7%. And the trend continues for 2024. Single family homes will see a 9.2 average increase, and condominiums a 9.4% increase, reflecting the robust demand for housing despite rising interest rates and low inventory. This is simply your property's assessed value, and assessments are not taxes. Your assessed value is just one factor in determining your tax bill. The budget, or spending, also plays a critical role, so a decrease in the budget could offset the impact of an increased assessed value. Your tax district and exemptions also play a role in determining your tax bill. Property tax owners will know exactly what their tax bill is by June 1st, after the Assembly makes the final budget adjustments and the mill rates are set. I know this news may be of concern for some of you. I personally have spoken to people who are struggling to pay their property tax bill, and that is why I have emphasized the need for fiscal conservatism and have consistently fought for budgets that are beneath the tax cap. So, if you have questions about your assessed value or would like to file an appeal, you may do so by contacting our property appraisal office at 343-6500. Remember, assessed values are just one aspect of your tax bill determination, and the green cards are just your tax assessed value. I have now our municipal assessor, Jack Adamus, here today, who can explain in more detail how assessments are determined and how they affect your property taxes. Jack?
Thank you. So again, my name is Jack Adamus. I am the municipal assessor for the municipality of Anchorage. And again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So maybe just to really do a quick recap of what the assessments are. So again, 9.2% increase is what we're looking for the average single family home, 9.4 for the condominiums. And at the end of the day, I, being the assessor, I am required by state statute to assess at market value. And so for this last year, what we've been seeing in the market is we've been observing a relatively strong demand for housing. In addition, we've been also seeing it extremely low, at near unprecedentedly low inventory. Both of those are components that push prices upward. And as a result of that, of our observations, we have then pushed the residential family homes, the single family, up 9.2, and again, the condominiums by about 9.4%. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to talk about anything. Again, if we have any questions when you do receive those valuation notices, those will be coming out in the mail today. I would emphasize that the appeal deadline, if you have any questions, please come contact us, 343-6500. You can also go into the website at www.muni.org/PA. And you can also visit us at City Hall. We're located here at City Hall, Suite 300, which is on the third floor. And a lot of questions can be resolved early on. If you do have any concerns about your property assessed value, again, a lot of issues can be resolved coming to us and contacting us. So we encourage that. I also want to remind you finally that the appeal deadline was going to be February 12th, so please be mindful of that. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. median, how does that 9.4 or 9.2% increase in our market compare with comparably sized metros? Like, is that a really big increase relative to cities about the size, or are we fairly average? I mean, yeah, where do we fit?
Yeah, I would say for this year, the 9.4% and the 9.2 that we're looking at, I would say that we're probably, um, with respect to that, I'd say we're well within the line if you look at from the last several years, our values and our increase in values over the last several years, comparing it to national trends. And also locally too, with other jurisdictions within the municipality. So, and if you, I also encourage you to also look at some of the public statistics from the local realtors. They have also seen significant prices when you look at the average sale price. And so when you look at our values, you look at the average sale price, we're well within line to get to that market value, like I talked about. I'm required to do that.
And that 9.2, that's just for 2023, or that's 22 and 23 cumulatively?
So last year we did increase, I'll be full disclosure, we did increase values relatively conservative last year. We were about 2.5-ish%. This year we're increasing about 9% to get that market value. So what we've seen the last couple of years, so when I talk couple of years, that 9% probably reflects both this year and last year for market activity.
Other questions?
So when you file an appeal, can you just describe what kind of the process is for someone filing an appeal, and what percentage of the time are people successful in their appeal on their assessed value?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you are a property owner, so speaking of property owners, once you receive that valuation, or you can even look online right now and look at your assessed values. But if you do have questions, the first thing I would contact us. A lot of questions and issues can be resolved early on during that informal review period before the appeal deadline. But I also encourage you to preserve your due process rights, and I do encourage you to file an appeal. What can you expect during an appeal? Generally speaking, about 80% of appeals can be resolved without going to the Board of Equalization. So about 20% do go to the Board of Equalization, and that's basically where we as the property appraisal respectfully disagree with what the property owner is. But I would say overwhelming majority are resolved without. Again, about 80% is what we saw last year.
Does that mean 80% of people are successful in their appeal to where they get a lower assessed value, or is that 80% are, is it something else?
I don't have the specific data in front of me, but I can tell you with great confidence that well over majority of appeals that are filed that are resolved without going to the Board of Equalization are reduced to some form or fashion.
And when you get to that assessed value, is it basically like you look at the market, the marketplace, see what it's at? Is that the biggest factor into assessment? Or is it other things too?
So for single family homes, from a technical perspective, we predominantly use the cost approach. For condominiums, we predominantly use the market approach. But for the general person, what that really means is that we are observing the market, whether that's how much it costs to build a new house or what existing homes are selling for on the market. And using that information, we adjust our values accordingly to, again, get at the market value, which I'm required to assess at.
Do you have other questions? No, perfect. Oh, go ahead.
I think, Mayor, this is a question more for you. It's great to have a hot housing market. I'm curious what role you see short-term rentals playing in the kind of high demand for housing right now, and whether you think there's any kind of problem with a shortage of housing and more units going to Airbnbs and VBROs and stuff like that.
Well, I think the marketplace, if there's a technical answer in there, I'll have Jack answer. But the principle is units, short-term rentals, VRBOs, let's say, that's private property. People get to do with their private property what they want. So there's a principle here, and that's kind of the realm I deal in. And if people want to do VRBOs, that's their business. I'm extremely hesitant for government to get involved and tell people what they can and cannot do, or influence what they can and cannot do with their private property, especially residential. So if there's a technical side of that, maybe Jack could answer that.
Yeah, just kind of a policy approach.
Right. That's a good question, and that's my position on that.
Right, is that everything? Good, all right, thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you.